Right, so let's start our lecture for today. I hope you can see the PowerPoint slide. Everything is fine for you?
Yes, sir. It's
Good.
protection.
Right. So we're gonna talk about tools of the hacker for today. Just to remind you that this is lecture number 6, tools of the hacker. We're gonna introduce some of the tools for you. Some of them you have worked. Introduce some of them to you and give you some brief description about each one of them and what you can do with each one of them. Now, in case that you have decided to use one of them, in this case, you need to go deeper, looking for some more information about the ways and the tools that we're talking about. And also, you might just need to look at YouTube to see the configurations and the settings for that tool. So, firstly, we need to understand that the hacking can be categorized into 2 different categories. Either to hack a web application, such as website, online banking, online retail, or to hack an infrastructure, such as Wi-Fi router, servers, or personal computer. So we're talking about 2 different categories. So we're going to introduce some of the tools, such as some of the tools that we can use in order to hack and do the penetration testing for each one of those 2 categories. Let's start with infrastructure. Now, the infrastructure attacks, usually we can use different ways and methods in order to do those attacks. Such an attacks we talked about is the brute force, which is kind of guessing the password. For example, if I want to hack a router or wireless or Wi-Fi, I can start by guessing, which is, might take, sometimes longer than the other ways. But it depends on the tools that we're going to use in order to hack the Wi-Fi. But some of the tools might be older than the newer one. So basically, you need just to choose the correct one in order to use that for hacking the Wi-Fi, or for example. So you can use or you can have the brute force, credential attack, denial of service, evil twin, man in the middle, and session hijacking. Now, each one of them is considered an attack depending on the intention of the hacker. For example, if the hacker wants only to look at the information within the network, but without harming the system itself, and this is, we cannot just say that this is a denial of service attack, as the denial of service attack intend to stop the services at that Wi-Fi or at that network, preventing the legal customer or the normal customer from accessing the services at that network. So, but it might be as man in the middle, and in this case, man in the middle, it can't be categorized either to passive attack or let's say active attack, where the intention depends on the hacker, where do I need to harm the network or I just need to look for the information. I might use the information later on, for example, to steal some data or to start another attack or a new attack, but not at the right time or not at the same time that I am doing the hacking. So it depends on the intention, as I said. Now, let's suggest some of the tools that you can use in order to hijack a Wi-Fi or hack a Wi-Fi. one of the first tools that you can look at, which is called router sploit. Now, the router sploit framework, you can find this application mostly on in Kali Linux versions. So if you look in the exploitation, you might find the router sploit. I'm just going to check that with you. So if I just want to access the VMware, just to check that this application is available with Kali Linux. Sorry for that. Okay, Kali Summer 2, this is the one that we are looking at. So let's talk about this application while it's running the software. So basically the router sploit framework is considered as an open source exploitation. So basically everyone can contribute to this tool. Now it consists of different modules in order to do the penetration testing operations. Now you can use the exploit feature, which will take an advantage of the identifying any vulnerabilities with your Wi-Fi. Also, you can use the credit, which is basically designed to test the credential against network services, and you can use the scanners, which is check if the target is vulnerable to any exploitation or not. So let's go back to the VM. The password is root 2, sorry. So if you look in the applications, we are looking for you might find that maybe in the exploitation tools. Sniffing maybe. Port exploitation. Okay, that's for database. That's for vulnerabilities. Wireless attack, yeah, sorry. Well, it's not there. So in this case, I think you need to install this tool first before you can apply for, or you can use it for hacking or attacking any wireless. You can see with Kali Linux, it's really categorized according to the intentions of the penetration testing. For example, if you're looking for a password attacks, you can use some of the tools such as Cruel, Crunch, and other Hashcat and others. If you're looking for wireless attack, you can use one of those tools, such as Rever, WeFit, which is the ones that we're going to talk about in a minute, and so on. So depending on you can define exactly what exactly wants to do the penetration testing for what, and according to that, you can choose the right the right tools in order to apply your attack. Right. Let's go back to our slides. So within this, so we were talking about router sploit. Now we talk about another tool, and this tool is called hold a second. Why I've got no address for that. So Aero Editor, I think it's called something like that. So what this is like a tool also within Audit Wireless, in order to audit wireless network. And basically depending on a bash script. If you don't know about bash, what do you mean by bash script? Usually with Linux, you can create your own malicious code or your own code in general. It doesn't have to be malicious. Now this script, you can use different language in order to create this script, but more file that end with sh and create your own codes within it. Now with Linux, usually it's going to run the code in the same way that any code within any application or any program is written. So for example, in PHP, for example, you are writing the application from top to down, and basically the editor gonna read line by line starting from top to down, okay, or top to bottom. So in the same way, you need to write your bash script according to that. Now, the bash script might contain some information about how to audit the wireless network, for example, how to attack a wireless or a Wi-Fi, how to guess the password, and so on. So as an example of a simple bash script that can be written this is a bash script, right? So basically, you can just create your own malicious code and add that to your own file and ask any system to start your code. So the attack, or you can also attack multiple encrypted networks at the same time in one row. If you have a look at what do you mean by WEP, WPA, and WPS, which is basically an encryption algorithm used in order to encrypt the data. Now, you can attack multiple of those encryptions methods in one row or in a row. So basically, this is where you basically use a tool which is called YFITI. This is the name of the tools, right? If you want to just have a look at in application wireless attack. Now you've got this tool, right? And basically you can use this one in order to also attack a Wi-Fi. Its feature has many features actually. It can capture, for example, the WPA handshake and back it up in a specific file. Normally it's been named as WFITI.py, and also it's a custom in order to reveal its SSIDs. Now, in some Wi-Fi's, sorry, in some Wi-Fi's, the administrator intend to cover their SSIDs. So what do you mean by SSIDs? So, for example, if you look at the Wi-Fi over there, to look for any available Wi-Fi, you're going to find a lot of Wi-Fi's which is available. Of course, if you've got any of its password, you can connect to it. So the thing is, some of the Wi-Fi that you can use it automatically to de-authenticate clients for the hidden ones. It can sort targeted by signal strength in DP. So basically, it's going to start with the closest access point first, then going to the farthest one or the weakest one between all of them. It can also, you can stop the attack at any time. It doesn't have to be in a sequence or in a specific time. You can just interrupt the attack if you want by pressing by Control+C. In this case, you can just skip the hijacking or stop the hijacking. And finally, you can have like a session for summary and checking what exactly, if there is any cracked keys that can be done or that happened during the scans. And the nice thing about this application that all of the passwords that have been hacked or cracked going to be saved in a separated file. This file is going to be called crack.txt. So this is really a nice tool that you can use in order to hijack or to crack a password for a Wi-Fi. So this is one of the choices that you can have a look at. We've got also something called Wi-Fi, or another tool is called Wi-Fi Cracker. Also, it's really having a really nice GUI that you can use it in order to crack a password for a specific Wi-Fi. Let's see if it's available within Kali Linux. Wi-Fi Cracker. If you go to wireless attack, for example, exploitation. I think in this case you need to set up or install that within your Kali Linux as well. Let's see over there. No, it's not. So basically, it's not available within Kali Linux. You need to install that. But the nice thing about it, I mean, it has many features such as you can crack or cracking WEP cracking with fragmentation. Different methods can be cracked as well. It can start WPS attack. You can have also WPA, WPA2 cracking with dictionary or WPS-based attack. So you've got a lot of features for such a tool that can be used in order to use it to crack any of the softwares. The name of the tool is Wi-Fi Cracker. I think you've got a lot of videos about those tools as well in the YouTube. So if you go into the YouTube, for example, and in the YouTube, try to write Wi-Fi Cracker with Kali Linux. Yeah. Okay, so cracking Wi-Fi, WPA handshake, no, automatic Wi-Fi handshake with Wi-Fi. Let's see if you've got hack Wi-Fi with, no, not that one. Right, Wi-Fi cracker. This is the one that we're looking at. So it shows you exactly how you can use such a tool. They are really very easy. You can check that during the practical session for today. You can check one of them at your device. So this is the third tool. So we talked about router exploit. We talked about Wi-Fi, and this is a Wi-Fi cracker. Also, we've got a lazy script, which is also designed to save more time than work for users. It can be installed. You can install a lot of tools along with this application. Now you can have a lot of features and benefits from using Lazy, which is basically help you in your penetration testing. If you look at the picture over there, you can see that I've got a lot of options that I can use them in order to hack or crack a password, a Wi-Fi password or not. Maybe some of the most easily accessible menu, you can see it compared to the other menus in other application. You can see it's really nice and very easy to use any of those menus depending on the numbers that you want and so on. So this is another tool that you can use in order to hijack or hack a password. So all of that, all what we talked about actually can be done by using a software or a tools that you can, it can be either adopted by Kali Linux or it can be installed separately. But with other option that we've got, also we can use some hardware tools to hijack a Wi-Fi, such as using a Wi-Fi pineapple, using a USB rubber ducky, Wi-Fi adapters. All of those tools also consider as hijack a Wi-Fi. So it's not only about using a tool in order to hijack your or to check or to hack a Wi-Fi. So if you look at, for example, Wi-Fi or Pineapple, let's see if we can find a video about how to use this tool. Wi-Fi Pineapple, I think it shows you exactly. Let's see about that. Wi-Fi on Apple. We've got a lot of videos about it actually. Cracking WPA password with the Wi-Fi Pineapple. So, and this tool actually, skip that. even showing you how you can use it. I mean, how you can set up the tool, as you can see. And also, if you wanna buy these things, I mean, if you go to eBay, for example, let's check if we can buy some of those tools from eBay. Search. Yeah, you can find the tools easily on eBay or Amazon, for example. So they are available out there. You can buy it from there as well. Okay, so you've got a lot of options about those tools. So this is related to the infrastructure hacking. Now let's talk about the second part or the second category, which is the web application. Now, the web application, depending on basically using many tools in order to attack the system or a specific system or server. If we're talking about a database server, that means we need to look at some of the SQL injection methods or any hack or any tools used to hijack a database. If you're talking about a web server, you might just need to look at cross-site scripting, for example, maybe just looking for brute force, a credential attack, and so on. So you've got a lot of attacks that can be applied or performed during your penetration testing to attack a specific system or a specific web application. Some of the tools that we're going to talk about, I think you have had the chance during this course to work with, such as OpenVAS and OS Z attack. Do you remember that one? So I think or ZAP, in other words, I think you worked on both of them during one of the practical sessions in our course. Now, just to remind you about those tools, for example, the OpenVAS, which is basically a scanner that can do, let's say, a scan for any ports, identifying any vulnerable issues within any system, defining if there is any specific ports that can be exploited or attacked from. You can find it easily with Kali Linux. And the primary reason for use this scan type is to perform comprehensive security testing for an IP address. So as long as you can define the attacked or the targeted machine by its IP, this application can be used in order to conduct a port scan for an IP address in order to find any open services. So once we find one, you can check the vulnerabilities, or if there is any misconfiguration using this tool. So basically you can have really nice tools in order to check any open services or to check if there is any port that can be used in order to exploit our attack. Another tool we can use, which is the ZAP. Also, you have worked with ZAP in one of the sessions, I think last week. You have the chance to work with ZAP, which is an easy tools used in order to integrated penetration testing tools for finding vulnerability within a web application. So it basically designed to help people whom they have like a security issues in order to find exactly what kind of problems they have with their web application. And also it can help you to find if there is any vulnerability with your system. Now, in general, ZAP is using something called Spider to crawl through the application. And this Spider can be used in order to scan all of the pages within the web server or web application. And also, the nice thing about it can use also something called an active scanner for all of the pages. Another issue is with ZAP, it has many features such as intercepting proxy server, and also it supports, for example, scripting languages, plugin hacking, and so on. So you've got a lot of features along with this application that can be used in order to check the vulnerabilities with any web application. So we've got SQL map. I think it's available as well with Kali Linux. Let's check. Yeah, this is the one. Sorry. If you go to the web application analysis, you've got the SQL map over there. So basically you can use this one. We're going to talk about it. This is a nice thing about Kali Linux. It's categorized all the tools according to the tools needed. For example, if you need something for database, as I said, you're going to find SQL map there. Okay. Password attacks. We talked about one of them right now, which is which one? Okay. Vulnerability, that's for vulnerability access. Okay, so back again. So the SQL map, which is, again, it's an open source penetration testing tool. So what do you mean by open source? Open source, that means everyone can contribute to this tool, which means that you're going to get a lot of support from different people, and all the people will gonna have their own codes, might be, in order to enhance its services. Now, this can be used in order to exploit the SQL injection flow to try to take over a specific database server. So it's a very powerful detection engine. It has also a lot of features such as full support for MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and a lot of different type of database. So basically, can be used in a wide range, whatever the name of your database. Full support for 6 SQL injection techniques, including the Boolean-based spline, time-based spline, error-based, and so on. Support to directly connect to the database without passing via the SQL injection can be used by providing DBMS credential, IP addresses, and so on. Automatic recognition of the password hash format and support for cracking them using a dictionary-based attack. Support to dump database tables entirely. Support to search for specific database names. Support to download and upload any files from the database server underlying file system. When the database software is MySQL and other database, and a lot of other features that you can use, you can have a look at by using this application. It's really a very powerful tool that can be used in order to attack or take over a specific database. We've got also another tool which is called NISIS, which is a scanner, actually, a vulnerability scanner, developed by Tenable. Now, the reason why we need to use is the NISIS is also an open source network vulnerability scanner, and also can be used for easy cross-linking between compliant security tools. And to be honest, NISIS is more popular than the SQL map, previous one. So it has a lot of popularity for more of the people, as it can basically because it's very easy to use compared to SQL map, and also it has like an advanced detection menus compared to SQL map. It can also cost effective for companies for all sizes. The result, very accurate, and also accurate visibility into your networks. Plugins, has a lot of plugins which provide timely protection, accommodate growth, and scale safety. So you can see that it has a lot of features. This can also be used to scan if there is a specific vulnerability related to misconfiguration, for example, or if there is any denial of services vulnerability. If the system is using the default password, also NISIS can detect that as well. Also, it can check and detect if there is any vulnerabilities that could allow unauthorized control or access to a sensitive data on a specific system. So this is really a powerful tool as well that can be used in order to attack a web application. Also, we've got another tool which is called Pursuit, which is an integrated platform for performing security testing of a web application. Different tools that can be worked seamlessly together to support the entire testing process. As you can see, you've got a lot of tools, a lot of options that you can use. It's really sometimes difficult to decide which one I need to use in order to take over a specific database server. But it's recommended to start from the most popular ones, such as starting with Nessus, then the SQL map, and if you manage, that's fine. If you're not, I mean, you can try the other tools such as Pursuit, which is basically also has a lot of features that can be used, such as giving you the full control over the database, letting you combine advanced manual techniques with the state-of-the-art of automation, just to make your work much faster and effective. Okay, and even it's considered more fun compared to the others. So those are some of the tools you might have heard about them, but definitely you heard about the Wireshark. Wireshark is the most famous one in the whole world about checking the network protocols and checking if there's any issues with a specific network. It's used to analyze the protocols and all the traffics within a specific network. It's very famous and also can be used and has many features such as its ability to deep inspection of hundreds of protocols, so it can support multiple or hundreds of protocols actually. Live capture, this is a very nice feature actually. While the network is working, while your server is working, you can capture all the packets within that network and trying to look at the information within that packet. Also support multiple platforms, can work with Windows, Linux, Mac OS, along with other operating system and platform. The most powerful display filters in the industry, the whole industry. Also, rich VOIP analysis can be done by using the Wireshark. It can also read, write many different capture files format. Can have a live data, can be read from Ethernet, IEEE, token ring, USB, Bluetooth. So it's really nice tools. It can also support decryption support for many protocols and hashing algorithms such as WPA, WPA2 and others. Coloring rules, which give you more fun while looking at the data. And also the nice thing about it is that the result can be exported to a plain text or XML page or CSV, or Excel sheet. So basically it can be supported by, or the data can be exported to different formats, which we can look at later. Also, we've got another tool which is called air cracking, which is a software which consists of detector, packet sniffer, and WEP and WPA, WPA2 cracker for wireless LANs, for cracking wireless LANs. It can work with any wireless network interface, having many packages within it, such as air cracking, or for example, AirTun, and so on. Each one of them is specifying for a specific protocol and tools, and each one of them has its specific job. So depending on the type of the attack you need to do, you can use the package related to air cracking. And then AP, you worked with that in your first session, which is works by cracking the network for hosts and servers. Once it's fine, the software platform sends information to those hosts and services which then respond. NMAP reads and interrupts the responses that comes back and use the information to create map of the network. So basically, it's really a nice tool to scan the whole networks to look for a free and open source network or a free port that can be used in order to, for example, giving a lot of information about the networks and the ports available within a specific specific server. For example, if you look at the figure over there, you can see that when you apply the NMAP for at a specific server, you look this application is going to discover all the ports that are available within that, or the open port, of course, that are available with the specific server. In the example over there, you can see that I've got the FTPs open, SSH and others also open. So basically, you can initiate your attack according to the ports opened and the scans coming from the NMAP. So these are some of the tools that you can have a look at. So always think about first gathering the whole information about the system, which is the normal methodology, before starting your attack, choosing the right tools or the correct tools to start your attack. Always think about which tool do I need to use first, okay? So that's depending on the scanning of your networks and getting the information about the networks that you intend to attack. Maybe the best thing to start with is the NMAP scanner, which is basically giving you a lot of information about a specific server or a specific address, IP address, of course, giving you a hint about which ports are open, which one is not, which port isn't running and active, which one is not. After that, you can decide if I want to, which tool is maybe the best to start with, maybe starting with the easiest one, such as Wireshark, then moving to the next one, such as the Perm Suite, using the NIS, for example. SQL Map is another choice to use, if you decided to take over a specific database server. So these are some of the tools that you can use. Of course, you can work with ZAP or OpenVAS, the ones that we worked with in the second week, which also giving you a lot of information about the ports and the IPs within the network. So this is all about web application. Have you got any questions about that, guys? Do you have any questions? All right. Let's take a break. 10 minutes break. Then we will come back to talk about our practical part. We're going to talk about the legal and ethical consideration of cybersecurity. So let's take a 10-minute break. Then we will come back to continue our practical part. If you've got any question, you can just write your question with the chat box. Thank you. So the next session, or the second part of our session, we're going to talk about legal and ethical consideration for cybersecurity. Now, let's talk about the legal consideration first. Now, before you can let anyone access and use the data within your company, even if you are doing that for the purpose of testing the security, checking that you don't have any vulnerabilities with your system, even so, I mean, you still need to look for the legal and ethical consideration related to that, right? So, for example, you need to ask yourself, the tester is unknown to my clients. So basically, can I give the right or the permission for the tester to look at or access the sensitive data for my customers and stuff? And also you need to ask yourself, who will take the guarantee of the security of the lost data during the penetration testing of during doing the process? And also you need to check if the data that been lost, or if there is any data gonna be saved in somewhere else device, is that really gonna contain the sensitive data for my customers and clients, especially if you're talking about the personal information of my clients and my staff. right? So you need to have like an agreement in place, including exactly what kind of tests are going to be done, and also what kind of legal regulations I need to have and observe during during the process and doing the penetration testing. All of that need to be done and check before you start even thinking about doing the testing or the penetration testing at your system. So penetration testing may affect also your system performance as you're going to do or simulate an attack to a specific system. That means the performance of your system is going to be less or reduced compared to the normal way or normal time. Right, so you need to think about the confidentiality, the integrity issues related to your system for your customers. As I'm going to do the penetration testing, even if you decided to do that during the weekend nights, still, I mean, the performance of your system going to be reduced. And also your credentiality, integrity, performance, all of that going to be affected as well, right? So you need to inform the staff, you need to inform the clients about those things. And also you need to have an internal staff, let's say, agreement about and certificates, for example, where you're going to explain to staff that some of the penetrations are going to be done in the future and you might or the data might be used in order to check that the system has no vulnerability and so on. So you need to have a clear statement from the staff regarding this issue. We've got something also called the statement of intent, which basically define exactly the job for each one of you, or each one of the actors within this process of penetration testing and checking the performance and the vulnerability. So the tester you need to indicate exactly if the tester has a permission in writing, looking at the sensitive data or not, and clearly define the parameters. Also, what kind of laws, what kind of rules, what kind of duties, details for the company for during that during that penetration testing, and in case if there is any leak with the data or any confidential data has been stolen, what exactly the rules, what exactly the process that the company going to follow in order to cover these issues and reduce the damage happened because of leaking of the confidential data. So it's really important to take into account the legal agreement before even start the testing or the process. And also you need to remember that the regulation and the agreement should be changed frequently. I mean, from time to time, from country to country, it's not going to be the same, you know. So you need to think about also the regulation, changing the regulation all the time, and that into mind when you sign the contract or the intention or statement of intent. Also, you need to have some ideas about some relevant laws for cybersecurity, such as General Data Protection Regulation. This is the ones that have been used within the UK, and also we've got ones used with the European, for example, which is called the Data Protection Act. Sorry, the ones within the UK is called Data Protection Act, DPA, and the ones used within the European, it's called General Data Protection Regulation. Within European countries, it's called General Data Protection Regulation. So you need to have a look at the laws related to the data and how you can save the data and store the data and so on. As an example of that, I mean, in the Data Protection Act and the General Data Protection Regulation, it defines exactly how the company can save and store the sensitive data about their customers and staff in a secure place. And what happens if there is any problem happen? I mean, you need to follow the regulation and you need to follow the rules and reduce the damage as soon, and also inform the customers and the staff along with the authorities about any leak on any confidential data. So you've got some procedures you need to follow. Other legal issues that you need to have a look at during your work, maybe, for example, copyright, the design, Communication Act, and so on. So all of those relevant laws for cybersecurity. So you need just to take your time in both learning and pen testing before start even the penetration testing. And also use the right tools, exploit the right softwares, reading and using the trusted one, because some of them might be having a malicious code. So you cannot use any tools within the internet, especially when we are talking about an open source software. So everyone can contribute to that software. So it might contain some malicious code as well. So you need to use the trusted one or the trusted source in order to use one of any tools for your penetration testing. Also, you need just to have the right and the proper skills in order to do all of that. I mean, it's not time to learn about your new skill of penetration testing on a real data, right? So it might be just good idea just to practice that on a fake data or just simulate that with any data before you start doing any penetration testing on a real trusted or confidential data, right? So you need to practice that in the beginning. All of that related to the legal issues. Now let's talk about the ethical of consideration. So code of ethics or ethical hacking are really very important because it's focused on duties, responsibilities, and limits of the ethical hacker on doing his job. So the ethical hacker must make sure that the client system or network properly evaluated for security issues and vulnerabilities, right? It's not only about having a money, but without doing your job in the right way, right? You need to make sure that the client system or networks is properly evaluated for security issues and vulnerabilities, right? So you need to do that. Also, you've got something called ethical hacking code, which is basically guiding actions of the ethical hacker in handling such information. How I'm going to handle the information if I look at a sensitive data, what I need to look at, and so on. Right? So you need to focus on those two issues, the ethical issues and the legal issues when you work with it. Now, 4 points or 5 points to read about during this practical session about any relevant ethical issues for cybersecurity. I'm going to leave that to you to read. Let's talk about how can we mitigate ethical issues for cybersecurity. We can do that by performing the testing with consent, performing the testing by experts. It's really important. Performing the test by security cleared consultants, performing the test in line with current laws, and performing the test or the testing transparently. So after reading the 5 points that I mentioned to you and after listening to what I'm said about the legal issues related to cybersecurity, you should be able to write just a small paragraphs in your portfolio about legal ethical consideration related to the penetration testing or related to the scenarios in your assessment. And also you might just need to mention some of the mitigation you will put in place for any legal and ethical consideration in the future. Remember to link that to your scenario and to write that in your document. So this is related to task number 2. Task number 3 is just a reminder about any guidelines you need to take into account when you write your portfolio, such as checking that you've got a free text from any major spelling or grammatical issues, structures, number of words, and so on. So basically, this is related to general guidelines about writing your assessment. Any issues, guys, about the legal or ethical issues related to the practical part? Just remember, you need to write a small paragraphs about each one of those 2 parts, the legal and ethical issues parts, just to mention that in your statement and your assessment, sorry, as part of the assessment to write about the legal and ethical issues. Just to remind you that I'm just going to go back to the assessment just to show you exactly where's that mentioned in your assessment. Sorry. Right, I'm just going to share that. I forgot to share that Oh, I stopped the sharing, so I'm just going to share it again. Right, so if you go to your assessment, you've got the last point where you need to write a summary of ethical and legal issue related to the case study or the scenarios mentioned in the assessment. So basically, this is a really important part. Okay, so this is the last part of your assessment, which talk about the legal and ethical issues related to your assessment. Any question, guys? Do you have any questions? Just to remind you that I'm recording all of our lectures, so at any time you can go back and look at the lecture from the beginning, trying to check if you miss anything or you've got any problems. All the videos being uploaded after the session or during the session sometimes, so it's going to be available as soon as we finish our session. So if you go to the session section, you're going to find the video links there where you can listen and see the records of our lecture. Have you got any question for me? If you don't, I will leave you to read through the ethical and legal issues related to the penetration testing. If you've got any question, please, you can write that in the chat box, or you can just send it by email after the lecture to me. If there's any points not clear, I'm happy to answer that for you. I will be with you till the end of the session, till after 2 hours from now. So basically take your time to look at. If you've got any question related to the previous session as well, please ask. Don't be shy. Just please ask about any of them. I'm happy to answer that for you.